Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Okay, so before I get started, I want to just say that, as Indigenous people, we're not really supposed to talk about these types of things. And that's because a lot of these types of things involve our spiritual beliefs, our ceremonies, and those things are closed. A lot of those are closed practices, and we're not supposed to talk about it. However, when this particular thing happened, I was not living. I just moved from Arizona to the state of Michigan. So I was far away from my traditional homelands, and it has nothing to do with our spiritual beliefs or practices or anything really relatively indigenous, really. So I'm going to go ahead and say it because it's a good story. So at the time, I was living in Alma, Michigan. My mom had decided to move back to Arizona, and I wanted to finish out high school in the same school that I was currently in, and didn't want to switch mid-semester or nothing like that. So I actually moved in with my sister and her boyfriend, who had their own duplex at the time. So when we were unboxing some boxes of mine, we had stumbled across a box that had my name on it. And when we unboxed this box, we found a Nintendo 64, which isn't all that weird, except I don't have a Nintendo 64. I'd never owned a Nintendo 64 in my life. So that was kind of weird, but whatever. We got excited. We found a Nintendo 64. Apparently it was mine, so we hooked it up, and my sister and I decided to play it. So one night we're playing the Nintendo 64. It's relatively late. It's probably around 12 o'clock. And my sister decided that she's going to go to bed, and so I decided to stay up late and play the game by myself. So she leaves, and I'm playing the game by myself at this point. All the lights were off, and the only source of light in this whole duplex was the TV. And it was a small TV, and it maybe only casted enough light for like 10 feet. And where I was sitting in the living room, directly across from me was the dining room. So I could really only see directly in front of the TV, and that's from the light, and that's really about it. But I'm playing the game, and suddenly I remember after she'd gone to bed, I heard a sound. It caught me off guard, so I didn't know what it was, but it sounded like a shuffling sound. And it was definitely coming from the dining room. The problem is I can't see anything over there because the only light I have is my TV. So I don't know what it is. It just sounds like something moving in there. And my first thought was that it was a mouse. So I kind of ignored it. I did stop and turn and look, but I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. So we went back to playing my game as if nothing happened. Soon after that, I heard it a second time. Now, the second time I heard it, I definitely was paying more attention to it. And it sounded like a shuffling sound, just closer. Whatever it was closer than it was the first time. So like the first time, I stop and I turn, I pause the game, I stop and I turn, I look, I don't see anything moving over there, and I don't hear anything else. But at this point, I'm acutely aware that something weird is going on over here, but my thought is it has to be a mouse or something. I don't know. I didn't want to pay it no mind, because honestly, I didn't want to deal with a mouse. So I just kind of went back to playing my game. So I'm playing my game, and then I heard it a third time. Now, the third time I heard it, it was so incredibly close that I was fully convinced that I would turn and I would actually physically see it standing there or on the ground or something. I pause the game, I stop and I look, and again, I see absolutely nothing. Just a sheet of black right here. Nothing's over there. I hear nothing. But it's definitely a shuffling sound, but more so, it sounds like something's being dragged. And at this point, I remember telling myself that if I hear this again, I'm going to have to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this mouse or this rat or whatever it is, but I'm going to have to deal with it. So if it happens again, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go directly to the TV and turn on the light that's going to light up the dining room, and I'm going to be able to see what this is. Knowing for sure that that's exactly what's going to happen. So I go back and I kind of brace myself. I go back to playing my game, and I commit to myself, I'm going to hit that light when I hear it again. And sure enough, as I'm playing the game, I heard it again. Closer than ever. And at this point, I don't even turn and look. I just immediately stand up, and I head directly to the TV, and I turn on the light. And after I turn on the light, I remember turn and I look, and I don't quite understand what it is I'm looking at. But one of the things about my dining room was that we didn't really have anything in there. We did have a table, but we pushed the table all the way up against the wall, and under the table we had a basket. And this basket had all of our board games. We had cards, we had Monopoly, we had table tennis, all underneath the table. And as I turn and I look, there should be nothing there, but I turn and I look, and I see that basket sitting directly in the center of the floor. And it dawns on me that what I must have been hearing was shuffling, and it was dragging, and it was the sound of that basket moving across the floor. It's sitting in the middle of the floor. And so I'm staring at it, kind of trying to figure out why it's there. And it takes me a second before I realize that not only is it sitting in the middle of the floor, but there's a ping pong ball that is about a foot to maybe 2 feet in the air, just suspended in the air directly above it. And I'm not afraid. I don't freak out. I'm just more realistically trying to like figure out, like I'm trying to like rationally understand like what's physically going on that's causing this. I wasn't thinking anything spooky or nothing like that. I'm just trying to figure it out. But I'm seeing this ping pong ball in the air, and it wasn't until like it started to move that I realized that what I'm looking at was not like natural. But I'm looking at it and the ball moves and then just drops onto the ground. And it taps on the ground like a ping pong ball would, and it goes around the basket once and then comes to a stop against the wall. And I kind of sit there for probably maybe 20 seconds in dead silence. Not because I was frozen in fear. Like I said, I was just more or less trying to figure out what just happened. And I was kind of so much doubting it that I actually called out for my sister and asked if she heard what just happened. And it wasn't until she responded back with, yes, that was a ping pong ball, right? That it like all clicked that this was absolutely real. What I just saw really just happened. And that's something that to this day, I don't have any explanation for whatsoever. But not only that, but like, how does that happen first and foremost? But secondly, I don't know if the Nintendo 64 has anything to do with it. It sounds silly, but like, I don't know, because I don't know where that came from. I never owned one. I never had one. I don't know how I got one, but I got rid of everything at the end of the day, and it like never happened again. But definitely something that is hard for people to understand when I tell them. So.